आपको ओपनिंग करनी थी, आप कह रहे थे
सर करो
We are SimplePlan Media, a branding and web design consultancy based right here in New Delhi, India. In the last episode of Building an Indian D2C Brand, we presented 3 distinct art directions to our clients, each bold, expressive, and rooted in the layered identity of Amalta's couture. While they loved the intent, the final feedback was clear. The direction felt a little too bold for where they see the brand going.
Yeah, earthy tones because everybody is using. I don't want to use earthy tones. I don't want heritage.
So इसमें
पूरा dark है. ये पूरा theme dark है.
Today, with that clarity in hand, Yogesh and Rahul are heading back to the team to recalibrate, regroup, and reshape the visuals into something a little less edgy and a lot more emotionally in tune with the brand. Want to know how we do it? Hit subscribe and follow along.
So the worst fears, I would say, they kind of came true in a sense that the client did not like any direction that we were proposing.
That's why art directions are so important, because initially they talked about having a bold and disruptive brand, but when they actually saw the art directions, they were leaning towards playful side. So when they were saying they want to be bold, they actually wanted to be a bit more playful.
A little more playful, vibrant, summery. These are some of the key terms that they were using, because again, like Delhi is like 80% of the times it's summer. So we have to optimize for that. The second one, no one really liked. We mutually agree. We don't like it either. It's too risky for a brand like this to follow. So same page. The first art direction, the one which was my favorite, the heritage and cultural look, I think it was too safe, and it still is too safe. So the overall sentiment was that there is no differentiation with other brands, which I think is sort of true, because there is only so much differentiation that you can do with intelligent copy.
Right, and with the third one, they felt it was too bold, too disruptive, too chaotic. They did not like the red hues, so that was a big problem.
So currently we're on a spectrum. One of our art direction is extremely safe, one is too bold. So we ideally need to be somewhere in the middle in this spectrum.
And since we have very limited time, we'll try to improvise on both of these, and we'll try another direction which aligns more with the insights that we gathered in this discussion. So with the first one, we'll try to add some pastels because they wanted to explore the directions. So instead of scrapping it and starting from scratch, we'll just try to play around with different colors.
I think the third one will die down though. If we do the exploration on the third one, on this spectrum, if we tweak it, it'll die down. So I think it loses its complete value because it's built on the dark tones and the reds and the gothic vibe to it.
Yeah, highly unlikely it would work.
Yeah.
But since we are strapped for time, we need to be creative with the limited time and resources we have. And I think the third direction is the new direction that we want to explore, is the one that we should emphasize on. Make it more vibrant. Maybe add some floral elements to it. That is something we can explore, more summery.
Yeah, vibe to it. Yeah, makes sense.
While the visual direction is being reshaped, there's another quite but crucial piece of the puzzle coming together: the name.
Think about boat, not the kind that floats, but the audio brand that took India by storm. The name is short, catchy, and unexpected, but for some reason it works. So what makes a good brand name? First, memorability, because if they can't remember you, they'll buy from someone else. Second, meaning. It doesn't have to be literal, it should trigger the right mental associations. Third, sound. Good names are easy to speak. They roll off the tongue nicely. They are catchy. Think about Zara, Swiggy, Zomato. Fourth, ownability. So every name that we pick goes through a quick trademark check, and then it makes the shortlist. Because best names don't just sound good, they stand for who you are.
To better understand the initial process of naming a brand, we turn to Gurbani as she begins the process. Not by forcing a label, but by trying to understand who this brand wants to be.
So now that the positioning and strategy has been locked in, we're going to work on two things simultaneously. One is going to be the art direction and one is going to be the brand name. So now when it comes to the brand name, we usually first come up with categories that we can explore. In this case, our first category is going to be the parent name and how we can inspire the sub-brand's name from the parent company's name. The second could be something that's more emotion driven, something that the audience is more likely to resonate with. And the third could be, let's say in this case, something that directly aligns with what the positioning is going to be, right? So now these three categories are also further broken down into different approaches, right? And through these different approaches, we come up with around 15 to 20 names for each different category, right? So we could try translation, we could try combination words. There's a bunch of different ways that we go about it. So now, for example, if we take the parent name, Amalta's is a tree. The first direction we will explore is around trees and flowers. Flowers also because florals are something that we're exploring in the visual side of things now. Another direction we will go in will be more emotional, like I said, where we could go with adjectives, we could go with names that kind of have certain connotations that evoke a certain kind of emotion in our audience, in this case the women that we're going to be targeting. And the third one will be slightly more straightforward, where we're going to directly see what works with our positioning angle, which is desi but make it chic. And once we have a list of names, we usually start with about 100, 150 names. Then we start sort of eliminating them based on what sounds right. Because for a name to be a good name, it doesn't have to work just objectively. It needs to sound right. It needs to sort of have the right connotation. And of course, we need to check for trademark.
With the brief realigned and the direction reset, it's finally time to bring the work back to the table. The design team has spent the last few days building out the new art directions, one that softens the edges but still holds the spirit of the original. Now, they're ready to present the final art directions to Yogesh and Rahul and hear what lands, what doesn't, and what's ready to move forward.
This was the iteration. उसी हेरिटेज वाले में थोड़ा सा कलर का जो मेमो मिला था, making it a little more vibrant slightly, adding slight pastels here while still retaining that sort of base level heritage.
Do I like this more? I don't think so. I don't know.
The flowers here can be sort of, they'll be the base of the branding, right? So I say this is an example of the thank you card maybe that we could send. It can be used in the like the borders. It could be used as overlays like this.
This has a lot of elements. I think this is the most creative one that we've done among the three.
Yeah.
ये hand woven type है ये?
क्या?
ये मतलब hand drawn है ये जो flowers हैं?
Kind of. The illustrations are slightly like that.
जो stamp है?
अच्छा, this stamp?
Stamp के side में जो है वो it looks a lot like thread work, so can be replicated.
I like the intricacy of the design work that would play well for the brand. We can use it for product development.
Yeah.
Use cases बहुत है.
हाँ, इसके use cases काफी.
I think we have reached a good conclusion. We wanted to update the first art direction, make it a little more vibrant and a little more fun overall. And the latest direction, this is the best this direction could have gone. We have added a lot more pastel colors overall, but it is a little more fun and vibrant now. It does dilute down the initial architectural and the modern feel that there was, but I think this is a good direction to present, I would say.
Coming to this third art direction that we originally worked on, that was the bold and disruptive one.
When we tried to make it a little less bold, as predicted, it did not work out. It was losing its essence entirely. So instead of like playing around too much with the third one, we went ahead, we did a new direction.
So with the updated brief that we gave to the team, where we talked about being a little more playful, because when the client said bold, they actually meant playful, vibrant. So this is what the team actually brought into forefront. So they focused on using very bright colors, and the main part that the team has used is they've used a lot of floral elements. And again, from a marketing perspective, it's highly scalable. We can create a lot of marketing campaigns around the floral elements itself. It can be used on social media, on the website, for cover images. So the amount of room that we have to play around with this art direction is a lot.
I think this is the strongest direction that we have had so far in the project. It is by far the most scalable. You mentioned marketing, but it's scalable in terms of the little things like the thank you card can have like the floral elements.
Right.
These safety pins can have a floral element, and we can hang this to the tags of the product. We can give away these hair ties as freebies or goodies to our customers. Another interesting aspect about this could be that we could like launch specific flower based collections in future if the client aligns with how we are imagining this brand to be. So it could be a, I don't know, some summer flower like a tulip collection that goes out.
Like people do seasonal collections, we can do flower based collections. And it also ties very nicely with the parent brand Amaltas, because again Amaltas is a tree, and since we are now choosing a floral direction, it very closely aligns with what their core essence and roots are all about.
This could help us in pitching this direction and making it work.
So when we start the brand naming process, a couple of things that we look out for is that it should be easy to pronounce. It shouldn't have more than 3 syllables. And again, it should roll off the tongue easily, should sound good. And the most important factor is it should align with the core brand strategy, what we want to communicate, and resonate with the end target audience.
It's a difficult deliverable in a sense because clients have their own personal biases, which is why we have to always keep them in check, because again, we're building a brand for a specific audience, right? In our case, we're building this brand for Gen Zs and millennials. It needs to be a name that works for both these audience without alienating any one of them. So generally the team comes up with 100-200 names internally when they start this process, and now we're down to the 7 names that we're all aligned with. So the first name that we have is Gul. This is a safe name according to me. Gul also ties in with the floral direction that we are taking for the brand.
Yeah, it's short, easy to pronounce. So those are the good qualities, and again ties back nicely to the floral art direction we want to go ahead with. The only downside is I feel it has a sort of a mellow or a sort of a sad connotation with it, which is against the playful brand that we are trying to build.
The next one is Mastani, which has that playful angle to it. So it essentially means joyful. This name can also work, but it sounds a little, how do I put it? It sounds a little 1980s to me.
It captures the essence of the brand, but again, it seems a bit tacky.
Yeah. So the next one that we have in contention is Wari, which isn't really a contention for me personally.
I can just think of sad songs when I hear Wari, so not a big fan of this.
The next one is Sharmili. This has to be the name. I think there is no other name that fits the brand as perfectly as Sharmili, which in Indian context it means shy or someone who's shy. So it's ironic that our brand will be very bold and playful and joyous, and the name would be Sharmili.
Juxtaposition that we can use to solidify our brand positioning. I think this name has the strongest appeal to that. So now this is one of my favorite. Earlier it was Mastani, now it's Sharmili for sure.
The next one is Champa, which is interesting to me. Why it's interesting? Because again, this also has a very 1980s or old school feel to it, but it seems a little more retro. It seems a little more fun in a sense, because again, there is a flower element associated with Champa.
The only apprehension that I have is it's a little bit too old school.
Yeah.
And goes against the brand that we're trying to build. Yeah, but overall a fun name to say.
The next one is Zamrood. I don't have a lot of opinion on it because again, not one of my personal favorites. But yeah, this can also go. It has a luxury connotation associated with it, so it can work. And the last and the least is Amasa. Yeah, I not my personal favorite for sure.
Definitely on the elegant side, but again feels very sad for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Again, it's important to understand that all of the opinions that we're sharing right now are our personal biases also. These names have been handpicked for a particular TG and it needs to work with that particular TG. Some of these names are more attuned to older like the late 30s audience, and some of these names might be a little better for the early 30s and late 20s.
This is more of a collective team effort.
Yeah.
So that again, we have different perspectives involved and we do not impose our biases to the client.
So we'll revisit where we left off from. Art directions we had explored. You gave your initial feedback.
The first one that we presented you was along the lines of heritage and architecture.
इसको हमने अपडेट करा है ऐसे, थोड़ा कलरफुल प्लेफुल बनाया है इसको, तो वही प्रेजेंटेड है यहाँ पे. We don't like how it has turned out to become because the luxury element जो उसका वो था, the entire play was कि भाई बहुत स्टैंडर्ड है बट कॉपी बहुत अलग हो सकती है, यूनिक हो सकती है, डिस्टिंक्ट हो सकती है. इसके अंदर अब वो न्यूट्रलाइज हो रहा है. We came up with a concept based upon the original brief when you shared that you like flowers and all of that. So uske basis pe we have
created this foolproof concept where we played around a lot with flowers.
So we prefer bold. So with fool also, with flowers also, we wanted to go with a bolder direction rather than a safe, joyous, happy direction se zyada. We wanted to be bolder. So this is a mixture of bold and vibrancy. तो इसके अंदर अब एलिमेंट्स हमने फूल वाले बहुत ओवरली यूज करें बिकॉज दैट विल बी द डिफरेंशिएटिंग फैक्टर बिटवीन अदर ब्रांड्स. नाउ फ्लावर्स कैन बी यूज्ड इन वेरियस डिफरेंट फॉर्म्स. जैसे जो टैग्स होंगे, नेम टैग्स में हम ऐसी पिन्स बना सकते हैं, ये हमारे वो कार्ड्स हो सकते हैं, द पैकेजिंग एक्सपीरियंस वी वांटेड टू गिव. सो दिस डायरेक्शन इज मोर डायनामिक अकॉर्डिंग टू अस. द फोटोज आर अगेन बोल्ड वाले एंगल पे ही अभी भी. कि सबसे लो लाइक ईजीएस्ट इम्प्लीमेंटेशन कुड बी समथिंग लाइक दिस, ये भी कूल लगेगा. एंड द मोर कॉम्प्लिकेटेड वंस कुड बी लाइक दिस, जिसके अंदर ये स्टैम्प वाला फील आ रहा है. ये दिस कुड बी लाइक वी कुड शो दिस एज अ लाइक आवर थ्रेड वर्क दैट वी डू.
So from a marketing point of view, this also aligns very well with our brand. And फिर वही अमलतास वाला एंगल भी आता है, अमलतास पेड़. Then we have a sub brand that's around flowers.
After reviewing all of the art directions, I think we unanimously came to a conclusion that we would prefer this only because ये ज़्यादा scalable है. हाँ, तो ये है मोटा मोटा thoughts. What are you preferring? What are you thinking?
Oh, I love this one. I love the vibrancy.
Satisfied with what
Yeah, absolutely.
This is in terms when you thought scalable from your end because I'm thinking of how can I scale it from my end. So packaging, I'm getting a lot of ideas. People put crushed flowers.
Yeah.
Crushed flowers, right? And that thing can be put as a sticker for the butter paper.
Yeah, 100%.
You open it.
Meanwhile, Yogesh and Rahul have already discussed potential names with the client. And one name that seems to be standing out for them is Sharmili. Shruti and Santosh suggested another alternative, not so Sharmili. Both these names capture just the right tone, bold, unconventional, and rooted in culture. But it's the final art direction that would help us decide which one would be the best option for our sub-brand.
If you're okay with this, this can't work with Not So Sharmi.
You're right with what you're saying. Matlab, haan, doesn't work. Not So Sharmili is not going.
But then you have to stick to Sharmili, not do for versions of not Sharmili.
So the essence that we initially wanted to capture based on the initial brief was Ghanta Sharmili. That was the exact term that we want to capture.
नहीं कोई और का ऑप्शन नहीं है.
चंपा फंपा ही होगा क्योंकि वो फूल भी होता है. चंपा फूल के साथ तो चंपा ही चल सकता है.
Like it did not grow on me.
गुल है लेकिन that is too boring.
सब बोरिंग है.
शर्मीली के सामने कोई नाम अब चल मतलब मेरे हिसाब से तो मुश्किल निकलेगा कोई और.
पसंद ही नहीं आएगा.
शर्मीली. हाँ.
अगर शर्मीली रखोगे तो फिर एक एक क्रिएटिव एक एक में दिखना चाहिए वो. मतलब हर एक में एविडेंट होना चाहिए. आई एम नॉट सेइंग बाय कॉपी, बाय इमेज या जो भी कर रहे हैं.
Getting Sharmili approved was a little tricky than originally how I thought it would turn out. But again, the good thing is the art direction they absolutely loved. The name was a little tricky to get approved.
They had the same apprehension with Sharmili. They didn't want to get associated with that term.
Yeah.
So they were proposing not so Sharmili. What we actually want to show through the design, through the products itself.
Yogesh and Rahul seem aligned, the client feels heard, and the creative team has clarity. Now, with the visual language locked, the team can move ahead towards one of the most critical pieces of any brand's identity, the logo. Stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe. This is Building an Indian D2C Brand.